Have you ever watched a domino effect, where a single event triggers a cascade of others? That's kind of what happened after World War II. The British decided to leave Palestine, and this withdrawal created quite a power vacuum. You see, this vacuum was seen both by the Jewish and the Palestinian interests as a chance to stake their claims. It was as if the chessboard was cleared, and everyone wanted to make the first move. The idea of a Jewish state was coming up, and of course, that led straight into the First Arab-Israeli War.
Right, and these tensions weren't something new. They had been simmering since the end of World War I. Britain had made a lot of different promises, and these added layers to the already complex situation. So, when the United Nations voted on the partition plan in 1947, feelings boiled over. That decision was supposed to divide the land into separate Jewish and Arab states. But instead, it set off a rise in violence. Many Palestinians and Arab nations firmly rejected the decision, which turned the whole region into a hotspot of conflict.
After the UN vote, the region was in chaos. Small conflicts began breaking out, with the Arab Liberation Army playing a key role in supporting Palestinian forces. This period marked the rise of the Palestinian refugee crisis. Many Palestinians were forced to leave their homes due to the growing violence. The Arab states were preparing for war, seeing the creation of a Jewish state as a threat. This buildup of tension was a prelude to something much larger.
Absolutely, and inside the Arab world itself, things were far from stable. There were internal struggles that added to the complexity and difficulty in mounting a united front against the new Jewish state. With all of this turmoil, David Ben-Gurion made a historic move by declaring statehood for Israel on May 14, 1948. This bold declaration marked a new chapter as it came just hours before the British mandate officially ended, sparking the First Arab-Israeli War.
When Ben-Gurion announced the establishment of Israel, it was a pivotal moment. The declaration didn't just upset the political balance, it led to immediate military actions. Arab nations saw this as the point where they needed to act, believing they could still prevent a lasting Jewish state. It wasn't just about military force, it was about whether they could assert their political influence in this rapidly changing environment.
Exactly. And what's important for our listeners to know is that while these events were unfolding, many global factors were also in play. Arab states were not as synchronized as they wanted to be, which weakened their efforts. For those interested, there's a transcript of all our episodes available. Just click join and get paid membership. It also helps us to keep bringing this content to you, which we really appreciate.
It's fascinating how people often refer to an army of 7 against Israel during the First Arab-Israeli War. However, this is a bit misleading because it simplifies the whole scenario. In reality, several Arab countries joined, but their combined military force was quite varied. For instance, Egypt had between 10,000 and 23,500 troops. They were armed with tanks, artillery, and even had an air force of 18 aircraft. But the numbers alone do not tell the whole story of their strength and challenges.
You're right. Across the board, these Arab forces seemed well equipped on paper. Iraq, for example, although appearing strong, only began with around 3,000 troops in their first attack. Their military structure included 2 infantry divisions and a training division with tanks and artillery support. Even so, only half of their air force was really ready for battle. Israel, on the other hand, faced a severe disparity in terms of military equipment. They had nearly all their resources mobilized, but started with only about 29,677 soldiers and just a few tanks.
Israel's strategy had to rely heavily on creativity and resilience because they faced a much larger combined force from the Arab states. While many think of Israel as a strong military presence today, it's important to remember that they were in a desperate situation then. Every bit of resource had to be stretched to defend the newly declared state. They operated under the constant pressure of defending against multiple fronts without the luxury of substantial military equipment.
Yes, and it's impressive how they managed to hold off such forces. Despite lacking significant resources, Israel's strong defense played a crucial role. Their leaders had to quickly adapt and make strategic decisions to protect key areas. This included making the best use out of their limited aircraft, which they had just acquired, and repurposing any available military equipment. The determination and strategic planning by Israel's military were pivotal in keeping the fight going despite the odds being stacked against them.
So, continuing from where we left off, we now look into the southern front. The Egyptian army's assault plan was quite aggressive. General Ahmed Ali al-Muawi was in charge, and he believed capturing strategic points in the Negev would secure their backlines. They targeted the kibbutzim, which are collective communities in Israel. It was a bold move because these locations were more than just military objectives. They held cultural and religious importance for the Jewish community.
You're right, and these settlements like Far Darom and Nirim played a crucial role. They were among the first places to face the Egyptian assault. The Israelis put up a very stubborn defense, making it tough for Muawi's troops. It's interesting how one tank strike or defense can change the momentum. Still, Muawi's goal was clear: capture as many kibbutzim as possible and strengthen their position. However, the determined Israeli resistance at these places made the Egyptian advancements a lot harder than they anticipated.
Exactly, and let's not forget the impact the defense had on the Israeli forces. Despite being outnumbered and with fewer resources, they showed remarkable resilience. Their defense wasn't just about holding ground, it was about protecting something deeply significant to them. This intense pushback against the Egyptians upset Muawi's initial strategy quite a bit. The heavy resistance at places like Kfar Darom led to tactical setbacks, putting a dent in the Egyptian army's advance in the region.
These challenges didn't just affect military tactics, they also affected morale on both sides. The Egyptians faced strong opposition, and every setback chipped away at their confidence. On the ground, every small defeat had a larger impact, hinting that the Israeli tactics, though resource-limited, were effective. Muawi had to reconsider his approach after seeing the unexpected tenacity of the Israeli defense. The early engagements at these kibbutzim revised the tactical scenarios for the Egyptian command, making them rethink their next moves.
Let's delve deeper into the aerial aspect of the conflict. The Egyptians launched air raids targeting Tel Aviv, aiming to weaken Israeli positions and morale. However, despite initial challenges, the Israeli air defense systems quickly adapted. The improvements they made were crucial in shifting the morale on the ground. These changes marked a significant turning point, boosting the confidence of the Israeli forces, who had until then been severely pressured by the more experienced Egyptian pilots.
That's a crucial observation. As the Egyptian Air Force continued its strikes, they eventually faced setbacks, particularly with the loss of many Spitfire planes. These were among their best assets, and losing them had immediate consequences. Not only did it reduce their aerial strength significantly, but it also caused a drop in morale among the Egyptian pilots and ground forces. This unforeseen challenge created a psychological shift where the Israeli resilience started to gain an upper hand in the aerial battles.
As we delve into Operation Pleshet, it's clear that the Israelis needed a strategic response at Isdud. They decided to launch a counteroffensive to stop the Egyptian advance. This involved using newly acquired S-199 aircraft, which, even though weren't as effective initially, made a significant impact on morale. The attack wasn't just about achieving military success. It was a statement that Israel was not only surviving, but was also capable of taking proactive steps in this conflict.
Definitely. The introduction of S-199s in their air operations added a surprising twist. For the Egyptian command, once confident in their march northward, the development was alarming. The fact that the Israelis now had air capabilities that could challenge them changed the dynamics instantly. It wasn't just about the planes themselves, but the psychological impact they had on Egyptian troops. The operation forced the Egyptians to reconsider their strategies, halting what had seemed like an unstoppable advance towards the heart of Israel.
The decision to launch a ground attack in tandem was equally telling of Israeli tactics. This wasn't just a reaction to Egyptian actions, but a calculated move to regain lost momentum. By targeting the Egyptian positions and exposing their vulnerabilities, the Israelis managed to create a ripple effect. This counteroffensive, although costly, was an early example of how determined Israel was to assert its position. The bravery and tenacity shown in this operation provided a much-needed boost to the fighters' spirits on the ground.
That's right. This determination significantly disrupted Egyptian plans. As their forward momentum was broken, General el-Muawi faced a new reality. His earlier reports to Cairo about the risks of advancing on Tel Aviv were now more urgent. The realization that further progress might lead to unacceptable losses led to a reassessment. Operation Pleshet did more than just stop the Egyptians temporarily. It fundamentally changed the course of the Southern Front in this war, highlighting the resilience and strategic flexibility of the Israeli forces.
Continuing from Operation Pleshet, the situation on the Central Front also demanded attention. Jordan focused strategically on the West Bank, eyeing key positions there. As the Arab Legion moved, the battles over Latrun were especially critical. This area was not just a military objective, it was a gateway to Jerusalem. With the control of strategic roads at stake, these battles held immense importance. Each side understood that dominating Latrun would have a significant impact on their respective strategies and hopes for advancing their positions.
Absolutely. And the tension in Jerusalem itself cannot be understated. The fighting around the city was fierce, but it was also about more than just controlling the ground. The supply lines to the city were vital, and disruptions there had a domino effect. Each cutoff route increased the pressure on those defending the city, impacting morale and energy levels. These battles had repercussions beyond the military, influencing the cultural and regional dynamics too. The wider impact included a growing realization among neighboring regions of the volatile situation unfolding right on their borders. Absolutely, this brings us to a crucial point where we want to engage more with you, our listeners. If you found today's discussion insightful, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is invaluable in helping us create more content like this. And if you're interested in accessing the full transcript of our episodes, consider becoming a paid member on YouTube. It's a great way to support our work and gain deeper insights into each episode.